Liberation Day, people. Yeah, more like taxation day. 30% tax for Americans on all imported goods. Yeah. Folks, as always, this is the Modern Survivalist channel. Getting better prepared is what we do here. And especially for this sort of thing, you honestly want to get prepared right away. This is not going to be nice. It's going to be very, very nasty. I honestly recommend now more than ever my books, especially this one, Surviving the Economic Collapse, as well as Street Survival Skills. You have the Kindle version. You have the new audiobook version of Surviving the Economic Collapse. So go over to Amazon, get yourself the audiobook if that's something you enjoy. You want to do this right now because if this holds on, this is already happening, right? This has already been announced. You have no idea how bad things will get. And if you honestly want to know what's going on, stay for this video because you need to know the truth. You need to know the truth of what's happening here, right? You've probably seen this. This is what the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is presenting. It is the reciprocal tariffs, right? Tariffs charged to the United States and what the United States will give to other countries. And if you see this, you go like, okay, so China charges us 67%. That's insane. And we will charge them 34%. Okay. What about the European Union? Those evil European Union folks, 39%. We'll charge them just 20%. Vietnam, 90%, 46%. Okay. I mean, if I'm a MAGA guy, I'm not a MAGA guy. I've always been super objective about every politician there is. I've learned my lesson a long time ago. So I see things that Trump does that I like, and I sometimes see things that Trump does that I don't like. I see things that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden has done, and I haven't seen one thing that I do like of those people, you know, just the way it is. Unfortunately, that's the case. I would have loved to see the past 4 years of the U.S. presidency be awesome, but it was not. This is what we have right now, and I'm okay. Hey, why are we giving these assholes discounts? If I was wearing my MAGA hat, I would be a little bit pissed by this because I would go, hey, I mean, Trump, come on. China is charging us 77% and we're just giving them this is like one of those, retail stores, like when you're buying a cell phone, it says discounts. U.S. discounted reciprocal tariffs. Why am I being so nice with China? If these are reciprocal tariffs, shouldn't I be charging 67% to them? Should I be charging 39%? Why am I being nice with the European Union and giving them half the tariff that they're charging me? What about Vietnam? It is not true. Okay? It is not real. There is no 39% tariff that the European Union is charging the United States. The tariff that the European Union has with the United States, in average, because it's a pretty complex calculation and it's going to change depending on if it's a car, if it's a truck, if it's a motorcycle, if it's whiskey, if it's clothes, whatever it is, 1.3%. The tariff that Europe has with the United States is 1.3%. The tariff that the United States has with the European Union is 1.5%. 1.5, as far as I know, is more than 1.3. So the United States has more tariffs on Europe than Europe has on the United States. And Europe is okay with that because it is a big partner. It is a big trade partner. So okay, we deal with that. We suck it up. 0.2% tariff difference. That's okay, says Europe. All right, let's keep on negotiating. Maybe we can do better. Oh no, you assholes, you want to sell it to? Okay. It is pretty much the same, guys. The tariff that Europe has with U.S. is basically the same. When I saw this, I thought the second I saw this, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, I knew these numbers, but what about fucking Vietnam? Why is Vietnam charging 90%? I looked it up. I went into. It is not true. There is no 90% tariff. There's no 90% tariff, and it's not an average. The average tariff that Vietnam has, 9.5%, which is pretty high, by the way. But they have this protectionist things, especially with vehicles. So car tariffs in Vietnam have it, but in now it is 9.5%. So it's not. What are these numbers then? What the hell is this? You know what it is? It's the trade deficit. These numbers are exactly the number of trade deficit that the United States has with all of these countries. That's why Vietnam has 90%. That's why the European has 39%. That's why China has 67%. There's no tariff in China, 67% for U.S. goods. This is the trade deficit that the United States has with the rest of the world. It is not a tariff. It's not even close to being a tariff. It's not a tariff at all. It is something completely unrelated. It is the trade deficit. This means that when you balance the books of how much do I buy from you and how much do you buy from me, there's a difference. Somewhat of a difference here. Big difference, of course, with China, right? China, of course, you buy a lot from China. It is the trade deficit, guys. And this is something I've heard Trump mention many times before, and Trump does not like the trade deficit. Trump thinks that if you buy X amount from someone, that someone needs to buy X amount from you as well. Right? He goes, oh, Europe, you're not buying from us more. You need to buy more from us. We're buying your cars. You're not buying our cars. You know why? Because they're not the kind of cars that is appealing in Europe. Europeans want cheap cars. Europeans want cars that are very fuel efficient because fuel is expensive in Europe. Europeans want diesel, manual transmission cars. That's what mostly people want in Europe. And what about electric cars? Well, they're buying a lot of Teslas. They've been buying quite a bit of those. All right. That was a huge market. Maybe one of the reasons why Elon Musk is not all that happy lately, which it has dropped like 40%, 45% now. But it was a trade deficit. And he's not happy with the trade. That is insane. It is insane. Do you know why the United States has a trade deficit with the rest of the world? Because they're the richest country in the world. This is like the richest guy in town walking around and buying stuff. He goes into a car dealership and he buys a couple cars. Then he goes into Louis Vuitton and buys $100,000 in stuff. He does that because he has the money. The United States buys from everyone else because it is the richest country in the planet, and you buy from other countries more than those countries buy from you because you have more money. If I am some rich guy and go into Louis Vuitton and spend $1 million in stupid handbags, I cannot be angry with Louis Vuitton because I spend my money with them. That is all on me. Right? Louis Vuitton should spend $1 million on me too. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But why is this even happening? Why is it that this? I get it that Trump doesn't like the idea of they're not buying as much from me but it doesn't make any sense in terms of people that understand how the economy works, right? It is so many of these things, like the dairy tax of 250% tariff Canada has. That is not even a real thing. That is only past a certain number that has never been achieved. So there is zero tax. There's going to be a bunch of guys walking around the United States thinking that Canada is taxing, has a 250% tariff on dairy products from the United States, when that is only when it passed a certain number of import that has never been passed. It is 0% that dairy exporters in the United States will have with Canada. That number has never been passed by that. So it is just an example of why is all of this even happening? Why are we in this crazy, insane situation right now? And the reality, unfortunately, is something else that Donald Trump has said many times before, which is tanking the US dollar. We need to be more competitive. We need a cheaper dollar. And that is not good news for the people. It's maybe going to be good news for a couple super globalist corporations that are going to be, cheap labor in the United States? Yeah, come on. It's not, even that's going to suck. Gerald Ford was pissed when the Holly Smooth tariff in the 1930s was implemented. And there's a lot of debate about what caused the Great Depression in the first place. There's a lot of people that think that a major player in the Great Depression was exactly the Holly Smooth tariff that was implemented in an attempt to, let's see how we get back to the rest of the world, right? That was awful. Gerald Ford was one of the guys that was saying, don't do this, you'll wreck the economy, you idiots. He was right, by the way. Why is this happening? Cheap dollar. And it's mainly because of two things. Donald Trump wants to make America great again by making more stuff in America. And he, in my opinion, tremendously misguided, thinks that tanking the US dollar will make making in the United States cheaper. If you tank the dollar, it is cheaper to make in the United States. If you bring down the dollar, it's going to be cheaper for labor in the United States, producing in the United States. Everything gets cheaper within the United States if the US dollar loses its value. But there's another factor it is actually true. If I tank the US dollar, I tank the US debt. If I tank the US dollar, I don't have any more debt. If I go Venezuela on your ass, I just eliminated my debt. If I go Bolivar, right? If all of a sudden the United States dollar I'm not saying 99% of its value, but if it loses 40% of its value, it's going to be a lot cheaper to produce in the United States. And I just killed 40% of my debt, mostly with China that holds most of the debt. But this is not going to be good news for the American people. It's not going to be good news for the rest of the world either. This is going to be good news for a handful of corporations, and even for those, it's going to end up badly for everyone. We've seen this before. It has been done in my country as well, in Argentina. It is something that brought consequences for generations later. This shitty made in Argentina crap, because everything was killed by tariffs, very much like this. You have no idea what you're looking at. You have no idea what you're looking at. This will wreck, maybe not the U.S. economy, right? But it will wreck you. It will wreck your purchasing value, your standard of living, your quality of life, how well you live. If you try to make the United States into China, that means China labor too. That means working for a bowl of damn rice or close to it. It is something that I don't see working in the United States at all. Just applying this tactic of we'll start a tariff war because we're pissed with others not buying as much from us, and this will make them learn, and this will bring companies to the United States. Dude, no. This will not work the way he thinks. I hope that this is just a bluff and this will not actually go, but this is already in place. Guys, I'll do another video of this later, but as of right now, it is very concerning news.